Welcome to TOOKY'S Sidebar, a book club for the sub gang. I'm David.
I'm Gabe, and I'm the certified Substack shaker.
And I'm Capitalissimo, and I'm learning for the first time that Substacks aren't just for P. Diddy's Freak Fests.
Ain't no party like a Substack diddler party. And we're back again for a quick topic discussion. We had two guests cancel on us simultaneously for our big night, boys. So
they did the fusion dance and disappeared.
We're falling back on the old reliables. Upcoming, by the way, Shagduk. The demonic duology, a name we thought of much too late, is coming out. We've done Give Up the Ghost by PCM Christ. And next up we have Shagduk. Shagduk.
Yep.
It's Shagduk. It's French. Shagduk.
I always say like Babadook.
Yeah,
it's
also French oriented.
Yeah, so that's cooking in the oven, coming out soon, and we wanted to cover, or it had been catching my eye, and I was talking through it with a few other people, some of the changes happening over at Substack and how we see those as part of a larger trend. So the specific article we're referencing here is from Substack itself, came out on September 18th, 2 days before this recording. And it's called Coming to You Live. Join these creators in real time. And I'll have the picture up on screen. It's a bunch of fucking Joe Rogan wannabe people of flat design.
Well, one of them does look Rogan-esque in his orange baldness, but it's the super flat design style. Well, not super flat. It's not Murakami, but the flat design aesthetic that we've all come to know and hate.
And at least we got Oswald Mosley with the American flag in the background.
Yeah, Hispanic Oswald Mosley. His beady little half Anglo eyes.
Swarthoid Jared Taylor.
And this came out. This has been just part of a larger trend. Specifically, what is the article saying? They're adding, I guess, TikTok essentially style video chatting, or not video chatting, video streaming. Yeah.
Live video and live reactions and live chat.
Yeah. And part of the goal is, I think, to, capitalize on the audience and some of that. It's part of a longer trend, obviously, at Substack that started back in, when was it? May or whenever it was the app came out. Like, it has not been that long. And now we've gone from, it was just emails when I started back in the day, to notes being added, group chat, which is kind of a dead feature. And now there's this increased emphasis on video. And if you go into the app now, you get like videos that pop up.
If there's one thing that people love, it's pop-ups.
Yeah.
I previously did not have Substack in my social media subfolder for my phone apps, but now it's going in there with all the other cursed fucking things in the world.
How do we feel about this and all the other changes? Like, for you guys, is the way you're using Substack, has it changed? Do you have a different opinion? Because I'm in a bit of a crisis of confidence in terms of Substack itself, but then just in general with a lot of, a lot of content being made by indie alternative producers. I've just seen sort of a decline in quality.
In terms of Substack, my general use for Substack is to read other people's stuff and then like it and share it, right? Just do the little boost, right? But as far as the platform goes, it could have just been a WordPress blog as far as I'm concerned. And like, obviously Substack wants to chase that scalable money, right? Like they want to monetize their audience as much as possible. And it seems like by adding these live video things and adding these like very active, in-your-face style reactions. It seems like they're trying to participate in the attention economy in a little bit more of an aggressive way. Like they want engagement. They want eyes on screens as long as possible. And and they're doing that by, from what I see here, being fairly uncreative and just cloning features from other apps as everything seems to convergently evolve into the everything app.
Well, I think that's the end goal. It's the mission creep. It's like it's not even mission creep. It's mission creep / the crab. It's Gnon. It's emergent crabology.
The carcinization of social media.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's carcinization. This is digital carcinization, right? This has been happening anywhere there's eyeballs, there will be advertising. Anywhere there's eyeballs is how can we make money on ads for the length of eyeballs that are on the screen. Right, this is going to happen. You can make another app, an alternative app. Substack was the alternative after Blogger died, after WordPress died. Right, I mean, Curtis actually did a very good stream.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Curtis Yarvin did a very good stream with also friend of the show and my mutual Catherine D on the Computer Room, and they talked about Usenet. Now, for people who weren't born at the time, Usenet was like the first real forum board. Right, except it was just words. There was no images. Images didn't exist at that time, and the
text only BBS. Well, not post BBS, but yeah.
Right, and remember the internet was like military hardware, right? And then a bunch of tech nerds and like MIT, and eventually slowly proliferated. And Noah Kumin actually wrote of the Mars Review of Books, wrote a very interesting chapter in his book called "The Internal September." And Internal September is known by old school internet heads is when you see a bunch of normies basically great replace and slopify internet forums. Because, the stores used to give AOL cards, so made it easier to connect to the internet or something along those ways. The normies got easier access to the internet. And you see that the notorious, the first chain email, right, was for immigration acts, if I recall correctly. The first spam chain email was on I just said the website's name. Usenet. It was on Usenet. Was the first chain / spam email. It was all over the place. It was a 2 lawyers for immigration law or something like this. So you're seeing what are happening here. We have our foundational text or foundational oldest form of internet communication or quote unquote blogging or technological communication, Usenet. This happened there. A version of this happened then, and you see it again and again and again. You see it with Blogger. You see it with Twitter, right? Elon Musk wants to turn Twitter to the everything app where you buy things, use it as your phone call. You use it to do Twitter Spaces, right? Twitter Spaces is now more important than tweets themselves, right? He wants to have you post articles, right? Basically for all intents and purposes. And instead of 280 characters, you have a full-on 567 characters, or how many characters it is.
And live streaming. They don't have video live streaming on Twitter yet, or X, as it's now called, but the Spaces is heavily promoted in terms of the placement on your
They do have
screen.
video live streaming on X. It's
Yeah,
just
so
not.
Mike does.
Yeah, it's just like cross
But it's not.
streaming.
Isn't it not native? Yeah.
It's
So it's not-
it's really not. It's not native and it's not supported as well. Like you can't
chat.
It's just kind of janky. Yeah, it's basically an embed. So yeah,
But you know that Musk wants it to be native eventually. He knows
for sure.
It's going to happen, right? It's going to happen. And you see this with Substack. You know, that's one of the early controversies, and I think everyone in our scene knows this, is that Twitter now throttles Substack links. You cannot link to your Substack unless you take the word Substack out of your URL, apparently, right? Because Substack wants to become the middle brow Twitter, right? So Twitter had very strict quality, aka woke control.
But what about Blue Sky? What about Threads?
Blue Sky, Threads. What happened to Threads? Threads still exists. Well, the thing is, you joke about this. Substack is centristopia. listen, we're not like Blue Sky. We're not like, we value free speech, but we're not gutter trash. If you say you have a Substack, there's a sense of, oh, you're part of the culture, you're not woke, but you aren't also, posting, TND, basically. You're not posting
For
homophobia.
now, there is. But the problem is there really is no garden wall at Substack beyond the quality of the users that were there. And so it is this sort of seesaw effect, basically, right? Whereas more idiots jump onto the one side, like the heavier it will get and the further it will go down, because they will attract others. I'll reference friend of the show Arthur Powell was seething recently about Culture Critic, guy who has a billion views and follows and all that on Twitter. And he just posts the most generic West has fallen trash eight times a day, 20 times a day, and just optimized for that. And he's migrated over, and he has followings. I think of who's the other retard. I've noticed retards getting more traction on Substack recently, actually, like people that just have zero interesting things to say. Who's the guy who talks about stacking jobs?
Oh, Walt Bismarck?
Yeah, Walt Bismarck. All of a sudden, people like him are getting buzz, and it's like, wait a minute, I feel like a year ago I would not have to deal with.
Don't you want to grift, or don't you want to defraud Globo Homo?
Yeah. Well, it's just the most, it's like AI art, which I use AI art for my stuff too, but it's just like the most attention grabby retard, purposefully performance art stupidity. And it just is part of this larger, and we've ranted about tangentially this kind of thing before, but this attraction towards this reaction optimized content.
Yeah, now you can host NPC streams on Substack, the platform for writers, right? Oh, this is exactly what I want from my long-form content producer, to be able to send them emojis and have them say, ice cream, so good. Yum. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm so glad this platform supports that.
Pretty much.
Essay so good.
Incentivize it.
Instead of sending them hot dogs, you send them pens.
Essay so good. Yeah, right.
But I'm actually a bit anxious about the growth opportunities for people on Substack that are just writing only, because I dabbled in this podcasting stuff and as well, and it's a different way to grow. But if you're someone that just wants to write, you're going to be more and more crowded out with the trend that's going on, and it just makes me more anxious if everyone is under this pressure, one, for the competition, but two, just for the quality of content. If everyone is being motivated mechanically by the system to not, if they want to grow, which everyone wants to grow at least a bit, to not just be posting written word content. And at that point, Substack has already, in my opinion, has already lost its identity in the way it's now a multimedia project.
The simple fact that it isn't exclusively text based is what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Once you give that up, and even just video integration or even the podcast aspect, I think took it away a little bit. But at least podcast is not as stimulating, right, as video. But once you make the transfer to video, and you're in the same apps, you have to compete with it. I just feel like it's not going to be immediate, but I feel like it's going to attract more and more people that aren't interested in the written format of content and those long form essays, which basically fled from YouTube, right? We're kind of already post a refugee camp, refugee situation, right? Remember when Morgoth?
Oh no, do we have to go back?
We may have to go back too.
That's true. That's what Dave Green talks about. Distributors talks about how Substack is kind of home of the last great YouTube video essayists. They all went to Substack.
Yeah. Now they just write them as essays.
Yeah, and hopefully read them out from time to time. I mean, and now it's replaced. I look at their guest list to announce it live. By the way, and I think you're really underselling this, David. I don't know about you, but I would love to tune in at 8:15 p.m. Eastern to Bill Maher with guest stars Cheech and Chong. I think that would be very intellectually stimulating, and it would definitely
dead.
No, well, you get Cheech and Chong ads on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I assume they're live. So I think I was gonna counter signal you for a little bit. I was gonna say, well, Substack, because of the current political climate, it's going to itch prestige as like, oh, free speech, highbrow free speech, not gutter trash. You know, you got highbrow free speech platform. You know, but then of course you see this things, and yeah, it wants to be highbrow YouTube, highbrow TikTok. You know what I mean? It still wants to keep its highbrow image. Notice, by the way, all the white people on their marketing, by the way, is classy. It's classy. It's not woke. It's not woke. It's not anti-woke. It's trying to cultivate a sense of like meritocratic. This is where people go to think. It's where people to hear each other out. Where people to hang out, have an intimate connection. Even though you could tell this is the face of the shell, it's the human skin flesh, and underneath it is the fucking queen bee, just slowly grinding your flesh into like mini honeycombs of content.
Dear God, dear Lord,
it's horrifying.
And it's taking the same format in terms of it is added in. I had wrote an essay on this a long time ago, but the two key aspects that define like the addictive quality of social media is the infinity scroll and the heart, basically, which are both things that are prevalent in all the new features they've added. They always had, for a long time they've had the heart and like comment, which is good. I for articles, that is good to have. Yeah. But when you're talking about posts, like the notes, which is basically a tweet, I don't know. It just, as you guys were saying, there's like this evolutionary commercial drive once something becomes a web app, and it always turns into this. And then the other aspect of it I wanted to bring up is these videos, the format it encourages is low effort or phone video. Like specifically, this is not edited content. This is not this is not a portrait mode.
Yeah, an edited portrait mode video with potentially like graphs and slides. It's phone video.
Yeah, it's always phone video, and that it creates like, what are the forms of that? There's two things that will come out of this. One, you react. Oh, it's a hot pepper. Oh, it's spicy. Woo, woo, woo. Retard content like that, or TikTok bait essentially. Which, trust me, that is coming. You're gonna have some fat ass girls dancing on fucking Substack in the next 6 months.
Oh no!
And they will get.
It's
viral.
gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
You're absolutely right.
Yes. Two, the other form of content will be, and this was one of our guests who was kind enough to bail on us. I'll steal this topic. Was interviews. Low effort. I don't know who the fuck you are. Interviews will proliferate. Because, and I see this within our scene so much, no disrespect to people who do interview shows. I think they can be good. I think the interview is the lowest form of entertainment imaginable.
Excuse me?
Except for the grab bags. Grab bags are excellent.
Grab bags are the lowest form of entertainment possible. Interviews are different from conversations.
Mm.
Like, I think that there is some distinction to be made there. Like, if you're like, for example, like, I don't know, Joe Rogan does not interview people. He is not an interviewer. He has conversations with people. You know what I mean? Like, yes. That's not,
but they come with specific topics because there are always people with like a specific deep background.
They have a niche.
Yeah, and they're coming with a topic.
But then I'll always ask them if they do DMT.
And that's the meme. Yeah, he'll always be like, "Oh, you see this video of a monkey?" Yeah, and he will bring it back to that lower level sometimes, but they are expected to. That's kind of the understanding of that show is like they're bringing in the high caliber guest that is someone who has either name recognition or some crazy thing they're known for, and it's like, okay, Mike Tyson's coming on. I know they're going to talk about punching people or something. But this format, and it's on X and it's on YouTube now because YouTube is so live stream focused. It's like the evolutionary crab form of entertainment is these low effort interviews where interviews again, they came into well when it's a topic and the person like, Nabokov, Gabe, you recently told me that he had a rule, unless someone had read 3 of his books, He would
would
not
not give-
speak.
He got so annoyed with the Lolita questions. In fact, they barely read Lolita, much less all his works and overall on his style. So he did put a 3. He graded them like students. If you read 3 of my recent books, you're a good journalist. If you read any of my pre-American books, you're golden. Right?
Yeah.
So he did grade the journalists in terms of quality, whether or not he had a formula of whether or not you'd give an interview.
Which is genius. And it's what more people, if what was rewarded was high level quality content, that's what would be rewarded. Because if you have a deep knowledge of the subject matter, you will discuss the subject matter. When you do grab bags, Gabe, I think it is high quality content, except with the voice changer mod sometimes. It's high quality because you are passionate and you give a shit about what you're talking about, and you know what you've read usually twice what they've written.
It's a very, very Gabe-esque quality to give a shit about whatever he's talking about, no matter what that is. No matter whether or not he's seen whatever he's talking about.
Oh, listen, the skippy seething is great. See, I'm so passionate about the subject of podcasting itself, I can talk about whatever. And the mere fact that I'm so passionate and giving a good quality conversation, high calorie content to our top tuggers, I can do it without even reading the text or watching the video itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and
Exactly.
I do agree with you there. And the thing with Substack, I think what you're getting onto is it is the idea of passionate. It's the idea of you don't want a blogger sphere, again, a sphere. The term blogosphere, there's no Substack sphere, right? The term blogosphere is a very intimate thing because there was a sense of intimacy, and you had scenes. There were scene queens. There was drama, right? What Substack needs is more segregation. Where you go to your homepage, you don't see anything of the
Many
general.
such cases.
Many such cases, right? You need Discord servers. You need basically each Discord server. The platform of Discord is there, but each of our servers are different. If you're on the Book Club from Hell Discord server, there's a personality. You have the it boy, you have the funny dude, you have the communist. You go to the TOOKY'S Mag Discord server, you have the El Salvadorian print poster. You have that kind of thing. You have the horny poster. You have the Australians.
So many
right?
Australians.
So many our foundational.
Frankly, too many. It could be virtually all of them for all I know.
Listen, they're foundational. They're foundational Australian tuggers. All right, we will always love the nation of Australia. Yeah, but you get what I mean. I don't think your problem is you don't want to go in. You go to your desktop or your phone. You click on homepage because if you want to read Dave Green's latest Substack, you're gonna have to go through the homepage. You're gonna have to click on it. What you're gonna see in your homepage is Slop Tent, Substack version of Slop Tent, but Slop Tent nevertheless. If it said,
I've
for
already
example,
lost good stuff, by the way. Like I haven't read the latest from Dave, and usually I read it pretty soon after. And literally, I lost it in the flood of other shit coming in, like the increase in content.
well, you know what would be easy setting on your homepage? You just have custom only show me things that I've subscribed to. It'd be an easy setting. But thing is, there's the idea.
Why would they ever do that? Yeah.
Exactly. The Eye of Sauron, because they want more eyes. They want more. Listen, there's going to be a Bill Maher interview of Cheech and Chong. Anyone can see that. So fuck you, dissident rightist. Fuck you, dude who's trying to write a book and wants to upload it chapter by chapter. You will see the Cheech and Chong. You will at least see the ad for Cheech and Chong, so we could say at least you could have views. You can count it in the views. Oh, because you touched it or you glanced on the B-roll. Not the B-roll, but when you scroll. Technically, because I think Twitter does that. If you scroll past a tweet, it counts as a view or something like that.
It does, yeah.
It does. So it's the Substack version of that. The reason why they won't let you just on your homepage, I want only the Substacks that I'm subscribed to, is because they want to have that bullshit counting as a view as you scroll on by trying to find the thing you actually want.
Yeah, it's becoming a mess on there. And I think we're hitting on something essential, is the need for segregation, the need for some way to have garden walls, because I agree. Discord kind of is that for me, because I find that's my default place where you can actually have a conversation that's more, I don't know, it's actually like limited to a certain circle. I don't know. I don't know if it's just inevitable, if that is just the tide of anything that is on the internet. If anyone can access it, eventually you are prone to these surges of people, and then the money incentive will
the
follow.
quantity of people inside of a thing will. Are you telling me that an influx of newcomers to an environment will cause a fundamental change in the character of whatever that is? Are you telling me that if you flood a bunch of outsiders into an ecosystem, that things will be disrupted? Is that what you're suggesting?
It sounds like a conspiracy theory to me.
Yeah, that's
Excuse me,
that's bananas.
Mrs. Isimo, I'm writing a letter for the Atlantic about your husband.
So a couple things. Number one, this effect was first noted as the summer fag effect on the hacker known as 4chan, where everything would be much worse when the kids were out of school, but also when phone posting started.
Well, I will have to push back on that. I will have to push back against this. All right,
Gabe was
someone
a summer friend.
Yeah, Gabe has only ever used a phone to access the internet, so he's never beheld a computer from anything but a distance.
I look as a PC master race. Of all the old heads remember that term. I will respectfully disagree with that. I think the summer facts get a bad rap. Ben Yahtzee, yes, honestly underrated thinker. He's actually a very interesting thinker. He once was, but I think the summer facts get a bad rap. I think the old facts are just a little bit of jealous of the circulation of elites. I think that was the problem. The young blood kind of showed them up, and I think that's the big problem with that. I think that's totally different from a Great Replacement. That's just a circulation of elites. That's a circulation of talent and humor. That's totally two different things.
This did happen like exactly with 4chan actually. B got demolished. I think now it's just porn and like see my butt pictures. I'm pretty
not
sure.
Even good porn, by the way. Even if like, for example, if you accidentally hit like 8C instead of, you want to go to a history board, but the history board's right next to 8C, so you actually go into hardcore. Like even the pornography boards have really went downhill.
Tragic.
Yes, who could have anticipated that the Gooner would know exactly what has gone downhill?
Listen, I only go to the porn boards for like the wrecked threads. All right, I want to see my Chinaman.
Oh my god!
Yes,
that makes it worse. How do you not know that makes it worse?
That doesn't make it worse. That's like normal. Direct threads? Wrecked threads are not worse. Being into listen, Twitter every day is a wrecked thread. No one gives. I would be not called a fake cell for reposting a wrecked thread, but I will be called a fake cell if I tweet like a nice hot like e-girl for ass out smoking a cigarette reading Arthur Schopenhauer. I would be called a fake cell for that. I would be called a fake cell for a Chinese kid getting run over by a bus. I would not.
I guess that's true. Unless everyone really gets terminally coon-brained, that the live leak starts becoming interpreted as porn.
This reminds me of an Alex Bacon.
The other thing I wanted to say is that to the topic of walled gardens becoming appealing, and I do not often reference Justin Murphy, but he did. I recall watching his podcast one time, and he basically said that he felt that the correct way for the internet to go was things like, which is why he runs the Other Life forum, I suppose, is walled gardens and getting yourself in a rather than keeping yourself out of an echo chamber, building building something where you don't have to interact with the noise effectively. So
it's going to be more important with AI and just how much is the dead internet theory and all that. Like it's going to be deafening. It already is getting pretty worse, like notably worse.
Well, actually, since you brought up Justin Murphy, I will have to counter signal the point. Walled gardens don't exist, but the reason why they're walled is because they're also shaded, aka camouflaged. Because I was really recently listening to an interview featuring a lawyer of the show, our lawyer on retainer, and part funder of the show, our good friend and lawyer in chief, Mr. Lord Dan Baltic, doing a podcast with the.
How many titles was that? Like, you just
Also, you
All
stole
the
Art of
times.
Darkness's meme completely, like unabashedly.
Well, yeah, no. Well, we paid him higher. All right, he prefers us. Right, so now we stole their
my
lawyer.
God.
Right? Now he's our lawyer now. So Dan Baltic.
look. If we ever get into a legal conflict between Art of Dark and us, he's not going to be able to represent either of us because of the conflict of interest. So,
he can't choose. He can say, "Oh yeah, I prefer one over the other," and wouldn't that be the end of it?
Typically, you just would have to decline. Yeah,
Oh. Can he get a junior
because
associate to
because
do
he would have privileged information about both parties.
it? All right, but anyway, so the point being is he met Matthew Pegasus on a forum on I think Justin Murphy's forum board in 2020 during COVID. So these forums exist; they're there, right?
Mhm.
But the whole point of a walled garden is it had to be camouflaged. Like it's like Galt's Gulch from Ayn Rand's novel. It has to be hidden. Right, to prevent the new effect problem, to prevent the quote unquote summer effect problem, which that never existed. Chud, that's just a conspiracy theory. But all the other ones are true. You want to prevent that. So the reason why we're complaining about it is this: the fact is we don't want it. We're too lazy for it. We just want our Substack to be good, but Substack is popular, so you have to be constantly searching, or you have to go via like fraternal order. You have to go full like Mason or full the Sons of Liberty. It's about who you know kind of thing. The problem we kind of want our cake and eat it too. We want an app, excuse me, or we want a
God,
website. Sorry, we want a website. Sorry, I'm so filled with energy. This sometimes
Yeah,
pops out
so
from time to
so
time.
much vril is coming out of your lungs.
Yeah, so the point being is that fundamentally is these places do exist. You know, Justin Murphy's Other Life. We could probably get in if we wanted to. We could talk to a variety of people. Probably
yeah, we could
really
pay money
hardcore.
for it. It's fine. It's easy.
Yes, it's just there. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it's the Costco effect. You pay money to reach. It's a social signal, right? You're socially signaling to people. I'm willing to pay cash to be in a high trust society and like-minded individuals, right? It's a economic term or game theory, right? The fact that you're signaling that you're willing to put money in is like a lot of ways. It's fundamentally it's
It's
a
barrier to
filtering effect.
entry. Yes.
Barrier entry.
Yes.
The fact that there's a barrier to entry, and that we see you. If I see you put $10 a month to be in my forum board, the fact that you went through the effort of going through that means it's a very high quality community, and I know for a fact that you're going to say something that's at least interesting or at least cogent to my beliefs. If the scene is like it's a Brandon Sanderson fan club, you're going to be very well read on Brandon Sanderson. Or it's also I think Urbit. I think is another example of this. Urbit is like a hyper autistic version of Discord. If you can fucking wrap your head around on how to get to Urbit and how to fucking use Urbit, you're a high quality individual by default.
Freudian slip again.
Sorry,
thanks
it's
for
a
the
gas. It's a gas. It's a Libra.
Absolute brap hound.
Unit over here.
This is when gas goes out with the one mouth, it goes out the other. It's Libra style.
Oh.
I was going to say, I feel like people are getting more savvy to this, though. And so even with the whole Substack, which we're using as our example, our starting point, when it first rolled out notes, there were a ton of people that were freaking out and saying it was the end times. And I thought they were overreacting a bit, but I saw their point. And time is going on. It absolutely has proven them right overall, just in terms of the trend. But I guess my hope is, having been through a few of these at this point, the internet has gotten older. We've either grown up with it or adapted pretty well to it at this point. Maybe we're building a network awareness and we're already ready to move to the next thing. And the problem is, so the ideal world, there is walled gardens that we all pay to participate in. But I think there's always going to be a need and a place for the free anyone can access, just for new recruits, new blood. And it seems like it's almost like a vampiric thing where people interested in more thoughtful content always have to explore and find a new place and basically get there before it's too corrupted by the inevitable incentive structure. And maybe we're like starting to eye the door, because I've seen people make comments along those lines. Friend of the show, Alex, who runs Dicinius Review. Actually, he's not a friend of the show, but I like listening to his stuff. Yeah, he made a comment. What was it? It was more or less he's eyeing the door, and I think I've seen a few other similar ones where as soon as something's identified, I think there'll be a rapid transition of people, and I think we'll all be hyper aware of it and communicate with each other. People that are already in this sphere,
right? And but well, also it's the innate laziness factor. Like, will we able to do that effectively on scale or at scale? You know what I mean? It's the how do we achieve that? When you're talking about this, there's a sense of the internal wandering Jew. You know what I mean? You're in a lot of ways, if you want the thoughtful content, you're always going to have to wander from land to land to land, until you're no longer accepted anymore. Or which is happening now. Substack. 10 years from now, when there's going to be another Substack equivalent, basically, it's going to be the place for thought. What was me? What was pre? What was old Substack? Medium.com was the old Substack.
Yeah. Well,
right.
And Blogger and any variety of other platforms for posting long form text.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jim's blog still uses WordPress from the old NRX head days. He still posts to this day, I think, on WordPress. Sheer autism.
I mean, WordPress is a little bit more of a you can kind of build anything on WordPress, actually.
Yeah, right, but no one hip. You're not. Listen, be me. You go to like a trendy bar, a crypto bar in New York City, right? You say, hey, I'm a blogger. You know what I blog on? Even referring to yourself as a blogger, you're not gonna get laid like that. You're not gonna get laid saying, oh, I have a WordPress. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I have a Substack.
Yeah,
girl.
Totally dry Substack.
Exactly.
Yeah,
am I wrong?
Soaked.
Yeah,
Gabe. Have you ever gotten laid telling someone that you're?
Woman? Yeah.
I have a niche right wing literary podcast.
Hey,
have you ever gotten it wet with that line? That gemmer, that winner right there.
Well, this thing, you know what? It's the male version of catfishing, right? It's pond moistening, right? I pond moisten.
Oh,
right? Because
little algae there.
I'm pretty sure catfishing is gender neutral.
It doesn't feel gender neutral, right? You don't see a man catfish, but you definitely don't see a woman moisten a pond. When you moisten a pond, what you're doing is you're making a pond wet, but you don't fish in it, right? And that's what guys do.
It's already if it's a.
No, like for example, if you work...
Words mean things, Gabe.
No, okay. As a person who lives in Florida, basically their version of like the Environment Health Club, because with swamps, they tend to run out of water or degrade water over time. You sometimes have to recirculate the water or put more fresh water into it.
You're talking about fountains?
No, it's not fountains. It's water control. It's moisture control.
Are you talking about what? Gabe, do you know what water? Do you know that water is wet? Do you know that water is wet and a pond is inherently a body of water? You're moistening water. Does the phrase? What does it mean to like sell ice to an Eskimo? What does that mean to you?
No, the canals dry up, the ponds dry up. You have to dump in more water. Right, it happens.
You're opening the levee. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, you're opening the levee, or you have to
breaks. The sluice gates.
Yes, you have to re-enrich the soil.
Yeah. This is a hydrology. Yeah, this is okay.
Yes,
okay, this is a flood control observation, not a.
Listen, all our swamp dwellers will understand what I'm talking about. Swamp dwellers are like people who live in deserts.
Pretty sure they won't. Pretty sure it was all nonsense.
Swamp tuggers and like people from Utah, because Utahns, they have to like airdrop fish into the Salt Lake because they run out of fish occasionally. So
really?
when you pond moisten a girl, you get her wet, but you don't fish in that pond. You save it for later. And as a true cell, I like to tease, I like to torture women as a white man with fangs, as a Schopenhauerian. I torture the feminine, but I deny her my virility. I deny her my seed. Right? And that's what you do. That's what I have an E-right
leave her
Substack.
gasping like a catfish. Just like, please, Gabriel.
Please, I need the vril.
I do agree with your point though. Like in terms of Medium was the previous one. The sauce that was missing, I think, is Substack started to trend a little social media in terms of like recommendations. You could reshare within it. And as I recall, I was never like, so I would read stuff on Medium. I never had a Medium account or anything, but I don't think that was that, you didn't like interact with people within it as much, right? It was like, there was like a little bit of social media to Substack before. And then I think that was why it was so sexy. And that was why chicks' mud flaps were flying or whatever you're saying, Gabe, because you could get some clout and just grow in a social media way without being a social media guy, without being I post 20 times a day. I post about whatever's hot right now or statues or women being punched and reactosphere shit.
Well, reactosphere shit. The thing is, people do talk about it. It gets you on the nerve immediately. It makes you react instantly. You know what I mean? It's the boomers at the casino playing the penny slots, right? Their brains are so fried. They just need they need someone to punch them in their brain nerves instantaneously at that very moment on an instinctual level, right? And that's the thing. And you notice people there's no debates in the comment threads anymore. If you go to the Internet Archive, because I like to read old blogs from time to time, there used to be huge debates on these people's blogs back in Blogger on the comment sections. People will make blog posts making a reference to comment sections, and you had to go to that comment section on a different blog post. You know what I mean? If you go to Substack, like,
it's always nice. Yeah.
It's always nice. Well, it's mostly positive, and people don't debate in the comments. And the amount of comments, because you get the notes feature, right? People don't have debates or discussions on pieces in the comment section anymore. At least not the people I read, for the most part. Scott Alexander, the big dogs will have 300 comments, and people argue in the comments. But there's no middle dog. There's no like middle pupper. Like,
you know why? People take it to the notes feature. That's where because that's where you get more engagement. Commenting under the video, you're going to get like two idiots that click into the comment section and interact with it. Whereas if you quote tweet or whatever the hell the word is, quote note within it, make a tweet essentially with a screen cap saying, something about honor levy or whatever, then you get engagement. But then you're separating yourself from the article itself and people having to actually have read it first. So it all is coming full circle in terms of when you add these other more social media-ness, multiple aspects of it, it degrades the focus of the content. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to end this on too sour of a note. I guess I am slightly optimistic, having thought through it and talked through it, that there will be either a walled garden coming up. I don't have to pay though. I'm not paying.
Well, that's the wall.
Yeah,
$10 is the wall.
I'll give you free access.
There are
to
still
my
people.
content.
There are still people who paid low tax $10 20 years ago using something awful. I just want you to know that.
I think there's
dead.
Yeah, but the forum's still there.
How do you? But the thing is, like you said, like, oh, I want the walled garden, but in classic erotic fashion, I do not want to pay to be in the walled garden.
Yeah, it's just hard because you're not guaranteed direct output. It's like some people are running experiments like this, like the Old Glory Club and stuff like that, and the more chuddy sphere of these social networks with membership.
Some sort of walled garden in person.
Yeah.
Some sort of thing where you have to be there.
Yeah, which is good. But then it's like there needs to be, I guess this is a project or like a gap that someone needs to fill, is a virtual form of that, just for younger people to find this stuff and to interact with the community. And to me, I think the most productive way right now probably is still Substack. Like you can read good stuff on there, and then the other social media platforms, they have it. It's just you just get crowded out much more than I feel like Substack like during a golden moment.
But the thing is, how do you prevent the carcinization process? How do you prevent that process from happening?
I think once you start going down, I think the money incentives make it inevitable. I think maybe if you have an upfront statement of, we will not employ these kinds of practices, like no infinity scroll, no feed that's not things you already manually like sought out and have added. I think you would have to have some kind of commitment like that from the organization or the site.
The problem is there walled gardens? Yes, they already exist right now. What you want is you want the marketplace of ideas. You want the grand bazaar, right? You want the bazaar, right? You want all these different merchants and these flavors and sensations. Oh, there's an e-girl, but she's talking legitly. Oh, there's my mutual. He's talking about the oil economy and its relationship to men balding. Like, oh my God, what an interesting thought leader. I would like to sit down at his bar and have a tasteful drink with him. You know what I mean? You kind of want a high trust bazaar. But a high trust bazaar, you had to have a caliph, right? You had to have a very strong authorial top layer to that bazaar. That's why the ghetto version of that is Discord. The very obtuse, too high IQ for me version is either Urbit, right? Which is Discord for 140 IQ people, right? And for retards. But that's about it. What you want is based world Reddit and based world Discord and slightly lower IQ Urbit. And Urbit, it also functions half the time.
I mean, all you're saying is that the barrier to entry to Urbit is too high for you, which is admittedly a skill issue.
No. Listen, I'm an aristocrat.
You're not admitting to the skill issue.
No. You're using very managerial language when you use the word skill, right? You're using the language of the enemy, right? It's not a skill issue.
Oh my fucking God.
It is that I do not give my mind to the crudeness of material technonautics, right? I free myself from technonautics. I only occasionally use the devil of technonautics to speak to y'all, to gauge the internet and so forth. But I don't program. I don't do that kind of thing. I don't have to reset a router or whatever the fuck a router is, right?
Whatever a router is.
Based.
If people can't hear me when I shout real loud, they're too far away, and I don't care to speak to them.
Yes, it's the Anglo versus the Spanglerite, right? I'm too in touch with the nativist soul of the humanities, and I can't reach around to the STEM lords. The best of the Anglos can go from STEM to the humanities.
The best of them can both give and get a reach around.
Exactly. Sir Francis Galton in his work on eugenics, he will casually reference John Keats, right? And but as a humanities cell, as an aristocrat of the soul of the land and of poetry, that is a realm I cannot go to. Like Moses, I can take you to the promised land, but I cannot go enter myself. That kind of
thing. Yeah, I just realized, mixing some metaphors, Gabe. Basically, what we're asking for is the Wandering Jew Bazaar, where people like the folks behind Passage Prize, people like Dan Baltic, people like Curtis Yarvin can all gather together and share their opinions to us. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So what you want is, so what you're saying, what you want is you want the walled garden with the possibility of explosive scalable success.
Moderate success. I think we're being modest here. It's, old Substack.
Okay, you want to be able to go viral, but you don't want the algo. That's what you want.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, terrible news for you.
Well, here's the thing: viral making the kind of content that's actually thought-provoking, rather than viral shit content, culture critic. I think that's and it does sound like they're probably, the happy medium. There's something there with this bizarre concept of there has to be you need a strong, clear leader with this vision of it, and maybe that's someone listening to this maybe will be inspired, who knows, and in a few years something will manifest like this. But until then, it's the wandering bazaar where you just have to keep finding where the deals are, and we all just have to, as the wandering Jews, trade stories on where to go.
Yeah, to be an online thinker is to be a wandering Jew in a lot of ways. It's very Kafkaesque.
Did you guys have anything else on this?
I eagerly await the next Bazaar.
Yeah.
Listen, well, you know what? Once Peter Thiel gets a seasteading thing going on, we could do this on our boat states, on our network.
Yeah, we'll do
state.
it. We'll shit post via semaphore. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Citizens.
Oh, the blockchain, a Bazaar powered by. We could post on a blockchain powered forum.
Yeah, that sounds like one of the ideas of all time.
By BZR. Yeah, crypto shilling is a whole nother aspect of this. But we'll end it there. I think that was a fun reaction to the changes in Substack recently and sort of this overall trend and just some of our ideas on maybe what the future might hold. And it sounds like we're kind of settled more on a vision than I thought we would, to be honest, because it seems like a pretty unsolvable issue overall, but I'm liking this vision.
It's a Gordian riddle in a lot of ways. We need Alexander the Great to cut it.
Yeah.
Well, I do have one closing thought that I would like to pitch to you and to our dear listeners. If you want to attend your very own walled garden, then go to resolutions2025.com, a one-of-a-kind event occurring this coming January of 2025 in a location that is as yet undisclosed.
It's free, right?
It is not free.
Oh.
It costs money, and you have to get there. But it
No
will
plebs
contain,
allowed.
It is a walled garden full of dissident and right-wing and otherwise independent artists, including your favorite word cells. One of the most notable guests being our actual friend of the pod, Adam Reinspex, author of Mixtape Hyperborea, as well as a cavalcade of other very interesting folks. Dave Green, Geo,
my mutual Geo.
A lot of old Glory Club folks, and many others. And you could check that out at resolutions2025.com.
Yeah, be there. Of course, e-girls enter for free. If you're tasteful e-girls, tasteful Hegelian e-girls, we're trying. It's a breeding program. It's like the Haz Haderach from Dune. We gotta breed the Spangler males with Hegelian
Tasteful e-girls also have to pay.
Well, they're most likely included with the men. It's a +1 with men, right? If you're there, if you're
yes, if the men bought another ticket.
Yeah. They have an anti +1. They have a total cock block.
They have a negative one. If you want to bring a woman, you have to pay for 2 extra tickets to get yourself into the positives.
To bring an extra man to compensate for her.
Well, yes, if you see a sense,
you got to keep the ratio completely fucked.
if you see a tall Southern Gothic man on the streets,
that's not Gabe.
That's actually Gabe on the streets of this hotel, and you see him, and you're carrying your copy. As long as you have a copy of Oswald Spengler, like, hey, are you a Spengler male? I don't know what this is. What are even books? What even is an Oswald? He will tastefully tell you and recite to you the entirety of the Spengler male canon as he walks.
Oh no! I just realized something. This is literally going to be Gabe and Geo in the same room together.
Yeah.
Let's go. I get to meet my e-father. It's a reunition.
Guys will never shut up. We'll just be tripping over each other to explain some obscure shit.
Oh, we could talk about oh my god, we could do a live video on a canicle for Leibowitz.
Don't cock blocking like that.
You're gonna face fag to do a TikTok with Geo. I know it.
On Fish Tank. Oh wait, yes, we could do retrospective on Fish Tank live. Yes, a live retrospective on Fish Tank together. I will face fag for my father Geo.
All right. Before we wrap though, special thanks to the end of the episode gang. If you made it this far, thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Boost us in the algo. We make fun of it, but we need it as much as anyone else.
Follow us on Spotify.
We just got enough followers on Spotify or likes or votes on it that I think it's starting to recommend us because we're noticing actually decent trends for the first time on there. So
yeah,
everyone that did vote, sincerely thank you because it does actually make a difference on those platforms.
Any reviews on Apple Podcasts also great for us. Please do that.
Zero. I beg.
Currently sitting at a nice round 0. Literally, which means that the three of us have not bothered to install Apple Podcasts and review ourselves.
No, listen, the elite are on Spotify. All right? We're kidding to the cultural vanguard. Cultural vanguard does not use Apple Podcasts. It's the male version of catfishing, right? It's pond moistening. When you moisten a pond, what you're doing is you're making a pond wet, but you don't fish in it, right? And that's what guys do. Listen, I only go to the porn boards for like the rect threads. All right, I want to see my giant